Hi, Shamik. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for doing this for us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Natasha, to get us here.
So
I'm very
let's
happy.
so let's start from the very beginning. Why don't you outline your journey as a marketer for us? And you've pretty much seen the evolution of digital. So tell us about your journey across different industries and your present day role as CMO of Apollo Health 24/7. What does that entail? So let's kind of gradually walk into that.
Yeah, it's been a long, almost 20 years of journey. My first job was a market research. Basically, for the first 1 year or so, I used to get paid for the number of questionnaires I was filling up or number of people I was meeting. Right. So my professional life took birth in customer feedback and content, and that was a time when honestly uh, content was mostly one way, right? Customer feedback was very scarce. You did not get because there was no real connectivity. So first few years I spent on market research where my job was to understand brands or a corporate's problem, going back to the customers and bringing them so that they can create good content to make them relevant. So I did a lot of those ad effectiveness studies or initial those studies in terms of how, and I think some of the few brands I remember I initially worked, and I worked in the feasibility and the market studies. Those were the first initial days for the first 5 years or so. And then I joined a company called IFFCO-Tokyo. And that was a time when insurance was very much like, it's a given product. The price is same, the product is same, the features are same, you just go and distribute. And in 2004, 5 actually, de-tariffing was happening. De-tariffing is government said, okay, fine, I will not put the price on you. You can make your own price. So the market forces started taking over. And that was the time I joined the insurance space. Initially, the IFFCO-Tokyo I was taking care of the corporate planning and strategy. And the first strategy, what we did is we said, you build a brand. Because now people will choose you, right? People will choose what you communicate. And we did a concept called hassle-free claims. I think that was the first ever insurance company's communication where they talked about service. Because before that, it was not important. And we spoke about hassle-free claims from IFFCO-Tokyo, and that was the start of understanding and making content relevant. But Natasha, what interestingly I saw over the last 20 years is as the market forces got stronger, content relevance became more and more important, right? And people, and I think one thing I strongly believe is that after the industrial revolution, this digital revolution or something that happened over the last 8-10 years has got an equal impact. How I look at it is, if industrial revolution solved the problem of speed, digital revolution solved the problem of distance. And lots of products, lots of things are made because of this problem of distance, be it transport, be it telephony, be it anything. And once that problem goes, you need to take the world in a different way. And when you take the world in a different way, the classical economics comes into play. Every time you took the world differently in a new way, the supply creates its own demand because everything is new. And that's exactly what happened with content, as I saw, right? People started supplying, and with more and more and more content, there was demand, right? And I think we saw up till now where the amount of the quantum of content or the media of content has taken a huge amount of shift. And I think there's a huge depth now. If I compare my IFFCO-Tokyo days or my initial Apollo Munich days to now, I think if I had slept then and wake up now, it would be a different world altogether. And it's a completely different world. But it's been a fabulous journey. It's been a fabulous understanding, learning. And I think next 5-6 years will be even more interesting.
On that note, tell us more about your current role and the app itself.
Yeah, this is so Apollo has been trying to do something around digital for a very long time. Apollo, we have started our healthcare business for 36 years back, and we always knew that distance is one of the biggest impediment in healthcare, because if a doctor stays in US and a patient here, so distance is always a challenge in healthcare. So in last year we in sometime in 2019, Apollo, we realized that it's important for us to create a platform which gives customer a, a concept continuum of care, because we saw when people have challenges of healthcare, what they do is they mostly go to a search engine, or they go and talk to people. They go here, there, take some medicines, go to a pharmacy store, pharmacist medicines, and then if nothing works, they go to a doctor. We felt that because with so many people's health and India being such a young nation, it's extremely important for us to make sure the expertise that Apollo has should be democratized, should be able to go. And we felt, how does it go? It has to go through contents, right? It has to go through people reading about us, people engaging with us. So we felt it's important to create a platform, and that's where 24/7 is. 24/7 is not a medicine selling or e-commerce platform, right? It's a platform where we speak about a continuum of care. You fall sick, you read about it. We have Apollo doctors in 15 minutes. Consult an Apollo doctors. If the doctor tells you to buy medicines, you just click, medicine will reach your home. If doctor tells you to take a test, just click, someone will come to your home, take your sample, report will be seen by the doctor, and you get well. And then again, content, right? Because just to give you a number, we have about about 3 to 5 million weekly active users we get on our platform. And of this 3 to 5 million, depending on pandemic or not pandemic, I think at least 80 to 85% people come only for content. They don't come to buy. The number of people that starts their journey is far low. It's the people who comes for content, and that's the strength, right? Because there's a dearth of relevant, projected, personalized content, and I think 24/7 journey has been so. We started this platform on the 5th of February 2020. That was the Founders Day. We launched, and initially we thought of doing a pilot, but then with pandemic we grew. We challenged ourselves. Now we service about 17,000 pin codes in the country. We have already done consult from about 400 cities in the country, and during this pandemic, since the start, we already have serviced. So we have already got about 10 million people who registered with us to work. And we already have about 1.5, 2 billion almost now, 2 billion transacted users on the platform. So that's what we did. And that's what I think 24/7 stands for. So for us, content and relevant content and engaging people and helping them to answer the questions that they have in mind is a paramount importance. So there's no substitute to that.
So since now content is at the heart of your business, right? Would you like to talk to us about how it is structured in the overall scheme of things? So perhaps how the marketing team is structured, and what is the role of content within that structure?
Yeah. So our content is run like a pod. So I do not have a content department or a social department or something, right? So what we do is we are a very flat organization. We just have a growth marketing team, and we have support for growth marketing team. And supports are in terms of CRM, in terms of performance marketing, in terms of branding. Content, entire thing is run on a pod. And it sits on two things. It sits on a customer data lake, where I have complete cohort of understanding what are the different types of customers, what do they consume, what is the chronic needs, what is the acute needs, what's the family size, what they want to need, things like that's data. And second thing I have is I have got 36 years of content, right? Because I don't think even I think the premier search engines take content from us. So we have a huge bank of content, medical content, doctors, pharmacies. So what we do is this pods connects the two. So I have got a pod of 3 to 4 people each, and they work with each of the vertical heads like a CRM or a performance marketing or a brand. And this pod connects the data, connects the content, gives it to the utilization, and then the utilization team takes it and takes it forward. So it's a pod that integrates data to content to utilization. And that's how we operate. At present, we have got about 4 pods, and each pod has got about 3 people each. And we have got a layer of technology that also helps to make sure that the go-to market is faster, because another thing we learned in this pandemic is speed is of the essence. It's extremely important uh, to understand what people are searching for and quickly get that, because confusion creates so much of distress.
These are some great points. So I'm listening to a few words repeatedly. One is that you say content that people can trust, in a way, content that's relevant, content that the speed of content. So how do you kind of measure the efficacy of the content that you're putting out, keeping in mind these few parameters? So how are you able to stay on top of that? Because also it's a huge amount of content that we're talking about here. So how do you kind of maintain these 3-4 parameters in this entire setup?
Yeah. No, we go by the philosophy of not putting huge amount of content. We go by the philosophy. I'll use the word again, relevant content. I'll give you an example. So when pandemic struck, and we were sitting on a huge amount of data based on who has the risk for COVID, and almost in 2 days time, and we were already doing a study that time, we got all the thing and we made something called COVID scanner. And I think in the month of March, 20th of March, something, we just launched it. We did not have money. We just launched it because we were just starting. We launched it in the sense we put it to our own WhatsApp groups, our own social media handles and all. Within 6 days, 15 million people took that test across the country. And that become almost everyone taking a test on their own, self-assessment test, that you have a chance of COVID. And then what we supported that with content that people should read about what is COVID, because that was the initial days, right? So what I mean is, it is not about the quantity of content. We have a huge amount of content, right? We have got a bank of content. But if I just throw this in the market, it will not make any sense. But making it bite-sized, making it relevant for people to use, making it or designing it in the way that it becomes a part of lifestyle makes a lot of sense, right? We have seen how big, newspapers and things, fighting with the small shots, right? These people wants to get what is relevant, important for them, right? And only if you do that, you will be able to get their time. Because I think we marketeers, the only thing we want from them is time. It's like those, if I draw a parallel, it's like those hunting, if you go for hunting, content is like that water bowl. And only if you have got good water bowl, you will have the prey to give you time, right? And they will spend time. And then that's a way you can actually engage with them. And if you add value to their lives, they become a part of it.
So now, can we speak about some specific examples? Like, you've spoken a lot about during the pandemic, the kind of content that was created. But if we can get it to, so I loved the example of the test. I mean, I think that's a fabulous sort of example of how content can become so handy at such a point of time. But also any other campaigns that you can speak about that also tell us, very clearly the objective that Apollo 24/7 has when it comes to using content in a certain way. What is the end goal? What are the objectives? And it from a very strategic point of view.
Yeah. So what our entire reason for existence is expertise for everyone. In India, we believe a lot of people feel that expertise is only for people who has the affordability or the accessibility. And our entire thing is that how can I take the expertise to everyone? So generally, what we do is, as I said, out of 100 people that comes to us, 85 people comes to us for content. And they come because we communicate with them in different formats of content and what do they need. For example, we have got about 67 different types of cohorts of people. depending on their age, depending on their family structure, depending on the disease, depending on the conditions. And these pods I spoke about, right? What they do is they try and get relevant content timely basis for all the 67 cohorts. And what we then do is it is important for the marketing engine to actually give it to them at the right time. Now, once we give them for certain weeks, now what we see is that this general attraction, people wants to read those things, right? So when a black fungus comes, we see that the organic traffic, people on our platform is more, and they're searching for black fungus. They know that this is the place for relevant, fast content. And I think going forward, that's what will happen. It is not about spraying and praying. It is about relevance, it is about personalization, it's about data, it's about how you do it. I think the biggest challenge that the industry will face is how to balance digital marketing with quality content. So digital marketing can make you a precision, a very sharp shooter. But at the end of the day, the bullet has to be heavy enough. And that is very critical.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to next. Being so demanding of your content, right? And it is so important, especially in this sector, the kind of questions you're dealing with, to be an authority in the content that you're pushing out. Are there any key tips or certain ideas that we can trace back to ensure that those quality standards are maintained, and it can be an easy slip, right? Because there's so much content out there already. So are there any sort of measures that you take internally to ensure that is not amiss at all?
Yeah. So one thing we practice very widely. One pod checks the other pod's quality every day. And there's only one question, that will I allow my child to read this or give their precious time, right? It's not about child, it's about giving the precious time, because what we're looking for is precious time for my customer. Now, I think what is happening is the two simultaneous phenomenon happening. One is we as a marketer, we as a brand, I think we're more going towards the rule of one. So we're trying to break customer in cluster cohorts and some groups, and then going to the rule of one. Let's make content for Shamik, right? That's what is happening. Parallelly, when contrary to that, another thing is also happening. Now, Shamik has never been so connected to everyone in the world like he is today. So there are two powers. One is I can personalize, I can go absolutely pointed to someone. At the same time, my content has to be viral enough so that the network that Shamik has is leveraged, right? So these two things has to be done together. So, and this is contradictory, because one is personalization, the other is viral. Two very different things. But these two has to happen in the right balance, and then I think the content works. So for example, I took that example, it's a very favorite example of mine, was it COVID scanner. So when I sent the COVID scanner, we sent by, we had a thing that you put your name and we used to personalize that. So show me your report is this and things. So it was personalized. It was absolutely pointed and things. At the same time, we saw it 95 or almost 98% of the distribution happened through violence, because people shared with others. So I think these two things has to happen together. One is when you make a content, it needs to target an individual, but it should have the quality of infection that he will actually sell to everyone, and that is where we fight, right? And that makes the digital marketing, the targeting, the segmentation so important. I have not spoken about different types of contents, and purposely, because it is not. I would not say that okay, video is more relevant than audio is more relevant than write-up. I don't understand that. What I understand is whatever you do in the format, if you're able to get the time you want from your reader, it will be successful.
So what I'm hearing is that the distribution and the end goal of the content becomes very much part of the early strategy of the campaign. Am I hearing it right?
Absolutely correct. You're spot on.
Yeah.
It's spot on. It's end result, because it's not about thinking how to distribute this. Now that I have this content, how to distribute this. I have not seen too much of success in that, but I have seen a lot of success When I need that, okay, this is the end result that people will get out of the content. This is how I'll go, and this is what I have to make. Maybe that was more possible because of the bank we have, the data we have, it helps. But so for any content marketing team, I think it will be extremely important to create that bank and the data. And it's an unending process. I don't think ever anyone will say I have enough data or I'll never have enough content. It's a never-ending process.
So it's almost a marriage of content, data, and technology to distribute that content. Is that right? I think that these are the three things that are kind of resonating for me again and again.
Absolutely, you're spot on. So it's the data, it's the customer, and the quality of content. Just these three things balance, and it's a content, and it's an unending process. It has never changed. I don't think it has never changed. It will only get more and more important as we go.
We spoke briefly about, and of course the pandemic has been coming up again and again in this conversation. But how do you think things would have been different had this past year not been the way it was? Do you think lot of, the acceleration, the sheer, the rate at which healthcare has just shifted, do you think we would have moved that fast?
You are spot on, right? When we launched 24, we thought of 24/7 much before we knew pandemic was coming. Though the time we came to the market, it was almost the same. I think what pandemic has done is few things, right? We almost felt that human race almost felt that we had defeated this disease problem, right? This disease problem, this infectious disease problem is a passing. It's finished, right? It doesn't. I think that is a huge realization that has come to all of us, right? It's not past; it's still there. Apart from our lifestyle diseases, infectious disease is also a major concern, and we need to be. So health is of paramount, and health is important. That is one thing happened. The second thing that happened is which started, I think, with digitization, demonetization and things. Digital as a platform, which is distance cutting as a thing, was taking shape. What pandemic did is it connected the two. It connected the digital pace to healthcare, which was not there. Healthcare was still, doctor, chamber, you will fix a time, Friday evening, 6 o'clock, doctor comes, you go and sit for half an hour, doctor shows up, and then he writes a medicine. Saturday morning, you go find the medicine, 2 medicines you don't get, 3 shops you go. That thing is changed, right? So the healthcare importance has changed in the mind of people. And the pace of the digital world is now into healthcare. So what has happened is, I think the acceptance level of a new concept, right? So if you see Apollo 24/7, primarily is a new concept. It's a concept where I'm saying that you don't need to go to a doctor. You can consult the best of the Apollo doctors from anywhere in the world, anytime, 15 minutes. You'll get the best of Apollo doctors to come and consult you. What I'm saying is that you don't have to go to the medicine stores. We'll give you medicines. So I do not see us having maybe a 10 million people registered with us if all these changes that happened last 1 year was not there. But I think this segment is very, very relevant now. It has always been. I think that's where we started 24/7 as a journey. So to bring it short, pandemic has fastened the process.
I think the customer has also changed. Now the customer, of course, there was always, you want to go to WebMD and see if you're having symptoms, what is that. But I think now the customer is so much more aware of certain healthcare terms, perhaps, that we would never have imagined. Like, it's now mainstream information, comorbidity kya hota hai, and all of that. I mean, I think the customer also wants even more education, reliable information about everything around them. Would you agree?
Yeah, you're right. But I think this was there, Natasha. Customers were searching. If you go and see the keywords that people search in Google, customers were always searching, right? But they never knew what to trust, what not to trust, right? That, like you said, WebMD, that was the only platform maybe people could have trusted because of the quality, right? But then there was no continuum. You read it, then what? After that, what will you do? So you have infection, you read there are 5 medicines. You will take all 5, you will not take all 5. So what will you do? You will talk to. So I think customers were reading, but now customers want to take action, right? So that connection has come due to this change. So I was talking to someone in Google. I don't think specific condition searches has gone up. I'm not talking about the COVID related that they have gone up to the roof. We're talking about specific condition searches has not gone up. But the number of people looking for digital platform and looking for a platform like us to take those help has gone up many, many folds. Right? So what I take from them is that the pace of digital has now moved into healthcare. And that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. Because healthcare is all about data sharing. And if digital comes in, right, if a doctor's in X city can look into the data and you can consult every possible thing, I think everyone can get expert value. I'm telling you, 440 cities of this country, villages of this country has consulted for 24/7. If they had to do that, they had to be perhaps go to a next city, take an appointment, sit in a, spend some days, and then see an Apollo doctor. Now they are doing it. It's become a part of life, right? So we get it every day. Every day we get 10,000 people who consult us on the platform. They consult us, they consult the Apollo doctors, they take the test, they buy medicines. So it's a very, very different thing that we see.
So we spoke about the past where we realized that, okay, certain, a brand has to be created, differentiation through content has to be created. We spoke about the present with the pandemic and how the role of content is completely, it's taken over our lives. And now I'd like to ask you about the future. So what is the future of content in healthcare? Where do you see this going? There's this beautiful marriage right now between data, content, and technology. Now what's next?
I think we touched about it. I think nothing, I don't see it changing the core to that extent, right? What I see is 3 things. I think 3 things are simple. The importance of relevance will go up. That is absolutely the importance of relevance will go up. Second thing I see is that I see a lot of spamming happening. Everyone thinks they can make content. Everyone is spamming some content. Everyone trying to, and it goes to the extent of trolling. I think that will cease. People will understand that there's no point in putting resources behind spamming. This spray and pray doesn't work, right? And third thing what I see is that we will get personalized, right? So we will get absolutely personalized. So I see videos getting personalized. I see shows getting personalized. I see contents, write-ups getting personalized, blogs getting personalized. It will be absolutely personalized. Natasha will see a different soap which will be for Natasha because of her habits. And Shamik will see the same program what with Shamik likes. Otherwise, why would you love it, right? So I think personalization capability will increase. And that's what I see. So just to reiterate, I see more personalization, more data, more personalization. I see absolutely cut down on spamming. It doesn't work. Spamming doesn't work. And the most important thing is relevance. Because people have very, very short time and you are fighting for that time. You better be good.
Great. I think that's the end of the conversation for me. I think I've asked you whatever I had to ask and got great insights into how you're building this huge machine. I look at it as a content machine actually. So that's it from me, Shamik. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the time.